Alright, what is up guys? Sean is back for his final technical analysis of today, Sunday. Here we have Nick Deem, an online client of mine, SDTC member, longtime supporter. Here he is throwing the weight. Let's take a look. Okay, so one more time. Good sling start. Toe and two heels. And so everybody, if you guys have watched my other technical analysis videos on the weight throw recently, Nick is doing the best job of keeping the ball flat. You can still do a little bit better, um, but yeah, keeping the ball flat through the sling start, bump start, whatever. And then he also does a good job of setting his posture, which he slowly sacrifices. Um, I think this dynamic walk up is okay for the most part. That's kind of what I do. But I think when it comes to setting your posture, if your feet are both fixed at the back of the circle and you set your base, you set your posture, it's just a little bit more consistent. But in terms of like this position right here, like this is decent. Hips, shoulders more or less in one line, knees bent. Hips could be a little bit more forward, but so like in terms of this preliminary swing and your posture, it's fine. But then what happens is, so like high point is right in front of you, low point is off to the left, like right about there. You can't see the ball, just behind that right hip, and then it rises up just a little bit, comes back around, and then drops again on that right side. So then high point is right at about 90 degrees. So Nick, like I said, set your posture, and then flatter swing, or a sling start, bump start, whatever you call it. Make it flatter. Keep your hands, like, don't let the ball rise so much in this first swing, and then as you come off the hip, turn your head to look over here somewhere on this wall so you can connect earlier. And then as you come off the hip, you need to really extend this right arm out long, almost behind you, whereas your tendency is to come off this hip and immediately start using that left side. So really, like I said, use that right arm, push, extend that right arm away, try to reach out and push the ball out towards this net so the ball can get long at 270. The earlier you can connect with the ball, meaning the earlier you can get both arms straight and the ball out in front of you, or not in front of you, but I guess just having both arms fully extended. The earlier you can do that, the better. Whereas, like I said, you come off this hip and it's very short and the ball is very close to you, and that your arms don't get extended until probably about like there. It's hard to see through this angle, and that's kind of my fault for picking this video, but I also like this video for some other reasons, so that's why I picked it. But yeah, so more weight back on this left side as well, and then, like I said, use that right leg and right arm to push the ball out away from you and create a big radius right from the start. Whereas this is very short, very small radius. The ball's right next to you, and then it slowly shifts away. But yeah, another thing is, off the bump, don't sink your hips down. That's inefficient. You're essentially putting no force into the ball. So either start lower, like I said, set your posture and start lower, or don't sink at all, which is what I'd rather you do. Is so once you pick this level, and by this level I mean like the bend in your knees and where about your hip height is, keep it there. Off the bump start, keep your hips right there, and then just push your hands flat out and across and around you, turning that right side with it. And as you can see, the tendency is to still, like I said, that left side picks up the tension, gets the things going, and then this right side does not turn much at all in this initial entry. And because of that, the left side takes over. But that being said, like, you're doing a good job of keeping your left side with the ball. before you had this big left side flopping sort of problem, um, and you've really worked that out over the past couple of cycles, so that's good. Um, so you're doing a good job like turning with the ball. That right side's just getting left behind because it is not turning with the ball in the entry. So once it gets to about here, start turning that right leg, turn that right leg, turn that right leg, and then it'll be much more seamless transition into the next turn. But see, so, and here we, once again, goes back to posture. Shoulders are forward, hips are back. Ideally, your hips should be more forwards, and I would say shoulders back, but I think your shoulders are in a good spot. Your hips just need to be more forwards, so needs to be a little bit more bend in the knees. So then as you come through, solid position here, weights evenly distributed on both sides of your foot. Right leg, like I said, is kind of left behind a little bit, but this is a very solid position. Shoulders, hips, knees, foot are more or less square to the ball. Yeah, level, very good. And then as you come through, your right side comes around. And like I said, because it gets left behind just a little bit, and you don't work it as well as you could, you come down just a hair late, so like over rotated, just a little bit. And then as the ball is also traveling through 180, the ball's starting to drop, so that's going to come crashing down on you and make it a little bit harder to work the right side after this. So as you catch, try to catch more on the ball of the foot as well. You do come down kind of flat-footed just a little bit, which is okay. It's good for stability. I'm a fan of that for stability, but if you don't turn your right side well, if you don't turn that right foot well, then like I said, the tendency is to pull the left side, which is what happens. Come down flat-footed, right foot doesn't move at all, left side just keeps turning and turning and turning ahead of the ball, and then eventually that right foot gets going once the ball gets closer to zero. Just a little late, but then you still have all this tension through this left side, and now here's the more stereotypical Nick Deem left side opening. That left foot peeks around, left knee, left hip is open rather than in line with the ball. And because the left side is ahead, the right side is behind. That's kind of how it goes, as I've said many times today. So as this right side comes around, and there is just a little extension of this left leg, so meaning like you don't quite flop, but you do have more weight on your right side than you want. More weight on the left side as the ball comes around left means this left foot should stay pretty stable, and that makes it harder to turn ahead. So, but once again, decent position here. Shoulders at least are square to the ball. Your head's not ahead. Head's looking at the ball. That's a great job. But this left leg, like I said, this left leg is behind, or left leg is ahead, and right leg is behind. And so left foot stops or stalls. That right side comes around as the ball comes around. A little better catch here, better posture. And then as you come back, what you need to think is this right foot comes down, but once again, ball the foot. You come down a little flat-footed, hard to work the foot like that. So ball comes down. And then what you want to think here is to kind of lean backwards away from the ball using your shoulders. All right. And you do a decent job of that. Could do a little bit better, like I said. If you come down on the ball of the foot and pressure yourself backwards away from the ball and cast the ball around left, that might be better than what's going on right now. But you come down and posture, like I said, is decent still here. Hips could be a little bit more forward. But in this position, I would say, once again, shoulders just more back. That would give you a better impulse, better direction, a better pendulum to accelerate the ball. And what happens in the earlier turns kind of gets a little bit more dramatized in this final turn. And yeah, posture, man, posture. Left side flops open just a little bit. Once again, same thing as before. That right side, because you come down kind of flat-footed, it's hard to work. So then you can see this is even worse than the last turn, where that right foot, it doesn't even really turn at all until the ball gets to like well past zero, about 30 degrees past zero. That left side's totally ahead. Left side stalls out. Right side tries to catch up, and you do a better job here of working that right hip with the ball. But that right foot needs to get turning earlier so you can stay with it. And then this is the other thing. This is also a stereotypical Nick Deem move, is to rise up in this final turn and then crash down on the, or sink down, I should say, just before the release. So don't extend this left leg. It flops open and his toe comes down, and as soon as his toe comes down, you extend just very slightly through this left leg. That causes you to rise up, and what goes up must come down, and you come down, and you give to the ball a little bit, and you got to kind of fight your way back out of the hole and pull yourself through. So, yeah, stay down on that left side, just work that right side around. And so at this point right here, I think what you try to do, at least by watching the video, it looks like you try to put your right foot down by sinking your left hip down. When in reality, your center of mass, not your center of mass, but like your hip height is already higher here. All you need to do is put your right foot down. You don't need to sink. If you put your right foot down, you'll catch like right there, as opposed to right there. Catch way earlier. All you have to do is maintain this left leg angle. It's kind of a cheat in a way, but it's effective, and it works, and it's not a terrible thing to do, especially going into the final turn of a throw. If this was a third turn and this was happening and you were doing 4 turns, I would say it's no good. Don't do that, because then you're going to have nowhere to go from there. But going into the final turn, if your hip height's a little high, just put that right foot down sooner and get back against the ball, so meaning more weight back on this left side. And just like jab that right foot down into the ground. Trust it. Trust that the ball will move around you, because it will, because it already has momentum. And then as you come through, but yeah, much better job working the right leg or right hip with the ball there. Just can't let it get behind earlier in the throw. And then as you come through, pretty good job. So you see this frame right here? This is high key gold. These 2 frames. And it's not perfect, but this is the pendulum that I'm talking about. You see how your shoulders shift backwards. Boom, back and forth, back and forth. That is the pendulum. That is you accelerating the ball. That is horizontal translation. The problem is that it's a little bit too late. So like ideally you should feel that pendulum as this right foot comes down, and then right about there. So you can see like your shoulders, it's just a couple frames too late. It's a split second too late, and that makes all the difference. So if your shoulders were more back over the hips. So if you had this position like about 4 frames earlier, while still being square with the ball, that'd be prime, Nick, prime. And then as you come through, that right side actually does a decent, at least better than the last turn. Does better job turning than the last turn. And then you come through, and that left foot comes forward, but that's good, because that means you are getting that direction, that directional energy towards 180. You come forwards. It's good. That means you're getting all of your momentum out into the sector. If you were to fall back, that means you would be missing out on some energy in the finish. So yeah, overall, like I said, set your posture, flatten out this preliminary swing, flatten out the bump start, extend that right arm, and just work the shit out of that right side. Turn that right foot, turn that right knee, turn that right hip, and stay down in single support. Don't rise up. The more you do all of those things, the easier it'll be to do everything else correctly. The easier it'll be to hold this left side. The better posture you're going to have. The better posture you have, the earlier you catch. The more you can work that right side. And yeah, it all feeds into each other. So yeah, hopefully you're picking up what I'm putting down, Nick, and this is giving you some things to work on over the next cycle. And yeah, so if you guys want a technical analysis of your own, or you want to join SDTC as a member, I guess, if you want me to rate your lifting or throwing, or if you want me to do more frequent technical coaching privately for you, hit me up. go to my website, seandonnelly.biz, go to the services page. I offer throws programming, technical coaching, uh, lifting programming, or a combination of all three. So, yeah, that's all I got. Sean Don, peace and out. Until next time.